Tonight's show is brought to you by Glenn Smith Chevrolet GMC in Opelika. Get ready to smile.
Hello, baseball fans. You're watching On Deck with Tyler Redmond.
Hello, baseball fans, and thank you for tuning in tonight. Really do appreciate it. Coming off a big win that did not start out that way. Of course, I'm referring to the first inning where the Braves ended up being down 2-0. They came back with a Sean Murphy 3-run homer. They came back with Matt Olson hitting a grand slam. And, of course, Jurickson Profar also going deep as well for a solo shot. So, a big win for the Braves, big win specifically for the Braves offense, and obviously a stellar way to split the series entering tomorrow's series finale. We have a lot to talk about, and we knew we were going to do a stream pretty much win or lose tonight because there was so much to talk about, mainly surrounding Jurickson Profar. That's how we started the day, was with the news of Jurickson Profar's return. We knew he was coming back. We knew he was set to return today, and he is indeed back. He, of course, did homer in today's game, but prior to the game, of course, we had the press conference, and I was there on Sunday for the finale against the Phillies. I was there for work. Snit and pretty much any player that got a microphone in front of his face was asked about Profar's return, and everybody was pretty tight-lipped, as you'd expect, but there was no hard feelings. But Snit was indeed asked, do you think Jurickson will apologize to the team? Snit did not speak on it. He basically said that's up to him. Well, today we got that apology. It seemed genuine, and that's all we can go off of. But as of right now, the Braves are going on a clean slate, so are we. That's how I'm going with it. Jurickson Profar is back, and a good time for him to come back. The Braves lineup has needed a left field bat with some caliber to it for quite a while. Now they have it. He again did homer today. Hopefully he can continue the positive stride. Speaking of positive stride, how about Ozzie Albies and Michael Harris both getting 2 hits tonight? That's a nice change in pace. Obviously still looking for consistency, but you got to take the wins where they come. As much good news as we had today, grand slam, 3-run homer, the return of Profar, the return of Daysbel Hernandez as well. With all of that, there's also this lingering bad news, and that is that Spencer Schwellenbach is out. Currently on the 15-day injured list, likely to be moved possibly to the 60-day. I don't know if they'll go that far, but it's looking like it could be September before he's back. They're going to set him down for a month, and then they're going to analyze kind of where he is and what he's going to be. It's a small fracture. It's probably like a hairline fracture. They don't even really know how it happened, but man, it really just goes to show you that you can never have enough pitching. That's 4 out of 5 of the opening day starting rotation, or at least the planned starting rotation, that has had to deal with a significant injury. Reynaldo Lopez, Chris Sale, Spencer Schwellenbach, A.J. Smith-Shawver. I mean, you name it, we've seen it. And, a lot of people are going to that, well, season's over mentality. And I don't know. If we were past the trade deadline, I would feel that way. Right now, it definitely doesn't feel good, but it's still like, all right, well, what are they going to do? I've seen a range of ideas. For those of you that don't know, we've been posting on TikTok pretty regular, and boy, oh boy, I thought the YouTube comment section was wild. The TikTok comment section is a whole new world. I've seen the blow it up, trade everybody, rebuild. I mean, granted, they're not alone. Carlos Pena on MLB Network said the same thing today, even trade Acuna. I don't know if I'm going that far. I don't think so. Even if they're not going to be active at the deadline, which is very possible at the rate we're going, if that's not the case, then I don't see them completely rebuilding. I think that the plan they had was sound. I think it's now basically you got to add to that. And what a lot of people aren't talking about is the luxury tax. We've been talking about it all year. I got an in-depth video on the channel right now talking about the luxury tax. why the Braves aren't doing much, why they didn't do much this past offseason, and that's because they're trying to stay under that to reset the luxury tax. And going into next year, if you reset the luxury tax, I believe a lot of restrictions are going to be lifted off of Alex Anthopoulos and the ability to go out and buy and be a buyer is going to return. Right now, regardless of what they'll tell you, I just don't think that's the case. I think Alex Anthopoulos was told he had one big bullet that he could shoot and get somebody, right? Prior to Profar, we heard about Jeff Hoffman. Then we signed Profar, and we didn't really make any moves beyond that were substantial. I thought going into the season that the bullpen was light because we lost guys. We didn't really add guys, and so far I've been correct. I hope that at the deadline they can maybe swing and get a couple. That'd be a couple good relievers. But right now, I really feel like you got to get a starter. I mean, there's no question there to me, unless you want to go with what you got in Gwinnett. With Didier Fuentes, who pitched today, did not have a great outing. Hasn't really had a terrific outing at all so far. The potential is there, but he's young. And I don't know that if you're a winning ball club, that's who you want to go with right now. I think you got to go out and get a veteran starting pitcher. So, to that point, who do I think they could get for relatively cheap? I have brought up the idea of trading with the Pirates. We saw that the Braves traded with the Pirates the other day. Not a big deal, not a big huge move, but they did trade with them. And that, to me, leads to potentially a conversation being had about a David Bednar, about an Andrew Heaney. I think they're on that trajectory, or at least one or the other, because you got to fix your starting rotation if you're going to be competitive. There's no way around that. You have to fix your pen if you're going to be competitive. That would be a great way to basically somewhat solve both of those problems, would be a David Bednar, Andrew Heaney combination. And you may be asking yourself, well, Tyler, what could you give the Pirates for that? What could you give the Pirates that would convince them to let that go? I think Bryce Elder is actually a very attractive piece to a team like the Pirates. He's got team control beyond this year. He can help you land Heaney for sure. In terms of getting Bednar, it's going to cost you, maybe prospects, maybe whatever, but that's what you're going to have to do. Like we have enough trade capital. It's just a matter of how we use it. And when I say trade capital, I'm not talking about Chris Sale. I'm not talking about Acuna or Albies or Michael Harris. I may be talking about Marcell Ozuna because the team control is not there beyond this year. And arguably, same goes for Ozzy Albies, though he does have a team option for next year. I think you can make that trade and do something. I don't know if the Pirates are going to go for that, but I think a trade could be made there. I think that is possible. Another option for your starting rotation that has grown increasingly, in my opinion, over the past few weeks, is Michael Soroka, formerly known as Mike Soroka. I am falling in love with that move more and more. Obviously, low risk with the Nationals. They're not very good. Frankly, neither are we right now. But Michael Soroka is somebody that I think could be very attainable. And when he's been good and when he's been on, he's been great. And I think a guy like that, if nothing else, to have him in a Braves uniform again and to get him under the Braves umbrella again could bring new life to him, right? We've seen the battle he's had over the past few years, since 2020, since the Achilles tear. If you want to give him a shot, I think everybody would be all for it. And what better time than now when 4 out of 5 starting pitchers in your rotation are battling some kind of serious issue? I think that a move like Michael Soroka could very well be something that could make a difference. Another guy that's interesting, another former Atlanta Brave, Charlie Morton, with the Baltimore Orioles right now. Last place team. Could be very attainable. He's on pretty much a very similar deal to what we had him on. He wouldn't be too very much, but he'd be around, I guess, $10 million by the time the Braves paid him. We could do that, and he could assist the rotation. A lot of folks out there are going to go, well, Tyler, should the Braves just sell? Sure, but to me, to me right now, it's not worth it. Because if you're going to sell, what you're going to sell is this. These are the names that you're going to sell. Alex Verdugo, who got DFA'd today. Maybe an Eli White. Maybe obviously Marcell Ozuna. Maybe Ozzie Albies potentially. I don't think so, though. I really don't. I just don't think you're going to sell what you think they're going to sell. The complete rebuild option, to me, is a no-go. That's what the whole rebuild was for, was to get what we have now, right? And the value that we have now is other teams would kill for what we have in a lot of ways. It hasn't resulted in what we want to see this year, but a lot of other teams would kill for what the Braves have. Ronald Acuna Jr., Michael Harris, Ozzie Albies, all locked up at very affordable prices. Beyond that, Riley and Olsen at $20 million a year. Name me another team that has that type of contract across the entire team. You might have one or two that you got steals on, but name me another team that's able to get an entire lineup, for the most part, locked up for what the Braves are paying, right? Even Sean Murphy, even Profar wasn't outrageous. Strider wasn't outrageous, and that helps a lot, especially when you don't have the spending capital of the Dodgers or the Yankees or you name it. You're in the top, you're in that upper brass, but there's a big drop-off between the Dodgers and the Braves. No doubt about it. I mean, just Shohei Ohtani's contract could pay the entire Braves for about 3 years. So that's what you got to consider. I personally believe that the Braves are not going to sell. If they sell anybody, it'll be upcoming free agents. That'll be who they trade, and it'll be for prospects. It won't be for what you think it is. I don't think we'll get relievers out of it. Certainly not any relievers that are superstars. I think you're more so looking for potentially future projects, right? Maybe some relievers with years on their contract for Marcell Ozuna. That would be acceptable. Or maybe a starter or two as well. But I just don't think the Braves are going to sell. I think they're going to stand pat, if anything. If they do trade anybody, it will be Ozuna, just because he's a free agent. And to be honest with you, before they trade Ozuna, the right thing they should do is go have a conversation with him. He is a 10-5 guy, so he's going to be able to pick and choose where he goes, or at least turn down some trades. So you might as well have a conversation with him, not only about where he might want to go, but also, hey, would you like to get extended? He's earned it. Obviously, there's been the off-the-field issues, but I think he has earned it. And I do think that, to some degree, the Braves kind of want him back because after this year, name me a better DH. A lot of people have brought up the idea of Drake Baldwin and Sean Murphy DHing. We've seen that in action before. Back with d'Arnaud when he was around, even Contreras when they were combining, and frankly when Ozuna was out, we've seen that play out. Acuna could be a future DH, if they want to save his legs. I've heard that rumor before. A lot of different ways it can go, but I do think a conversation should at least be had with Ozuna about extending. I don't think they're going to trade anybody outrageous. I don't think they're going to trade Acuna. I think that's insane. I don't think they're going to trade Albies, even with the bad performance, because his value's low right now. Why would they trade him? Because think about it. The entire point of Albies' contract was that it was low. It was not an exceptional price. He's making $7 million a year across 5 years. Or $5 million across 7, I can't remember, but it's one or the other. He's making very little money for the caliber of play prior to this year that he's had. He's been very good for a very affordable price. That all said, why would you trade him now when his value is at an all-time low? What's the difference in letting him get to free agency? Because at the end of the day, you're going to have to replace him with somebody. Name me a better guy you want in the lineup within the Braves organization right now, or that you could trade Ozzie Albies for. You're not going to find him. So I don't think they're going to do that either. If anything, they'll likely take the option on Albies next year, even though some don't think that'll happen. I do. I don't see them not taking that extra $3 million option, especially once the luxury tax is passed. They're going to at least give Ozzie the chance. I mean, look, they gave Orlando Arcia every chance in the book over the past few years, right? Offensively speaking, why would they not do the same for a guy like Ozzie Albies, who has been an all-star multiple times over, has been Silver Slugger multiple times over, and has battled multiple injuries over the past couple of years? I think they will. So, all in all, today's been a big day for news when it comes to the Braves. Didn't expect quite as much as we got. Obviously, we knew about Profar. And this is the last thing I'm going to say on Profar. I'm happy he's back, which a lot of people are probably looking at me going, giving me the dirty look about PEDs. I get it, but the Braves need him right now. They need some help, and he is help. Hopefully he can be like a big trade deadline acquisition and really help turn this thing around. So far, the Braves are 1-0 since his return. That's all we can count for right now. That's all I'm going to say about it. I'm happy he's back. I hope he's learned his lesson, whether it was intentional or not intentional. He says it wasn't. A lot of other people are assuming it was. We'll never know. But either way, I hope he's learned his lesson. I hope the Braves can roll with him and move forward. And I hope he's the greatest left fielder the Braves have ever seen for the rest of the season. That's what I hope. In terms of Schwellenbach, it stinks. It sucks. I mean, there's no way around that. It absolutely blows. But at the same time, you got to count on what you do have, which isn't much right now. You got to count on that the Braves can hang above water up until they come back. And hopefully once Chris Sale and Schwellenbach come back, the Braves are rolling. But until then, it's going to stink. And I know I'm saying all this after the Braves won 8-3, but it's going to stink in terms of the starting pitching, right? It just is. So what does that mean? Well, it basically means that the offense has got to step up. They did tonight, which was a great thing to see. But they got to step up altogether. You got Profar back. In theory, you have a full lineup, couple of holes here and there. We know Nick Allen's bat's a little light. We know Ozzie struggled. We know Harris has struggled. But those guys got to step up. Sean Murphy has had the greatest week as a Brave I think he's ever had in the past few days. Matt Olson's been solid. Riley's getting better. I think Ozzie Albies and Michael Harris really got to turn it up a notch. We all know that. Profar has got to hit the ground running. There's no way around it. He was doing great in Gwinnett. Obviously homered tonight. His first at bat was a little rough. I think we can all agree there. But he's got to hit the ground running. And if they're going to make a run, they've got to do it now. Because I think coming up, I know you have a series with the A's. It's kind of a lighter schedule. I told you the other day that the past stretch prior to this Angels series was probably their most important, which I think it was. That was 4 division rival series back to back, 2 of which with the Mets, 7 total games, 3 of which with the Phillies, and of course 3 against the Marlins. It was a big stretch. The Braves went, I want to say 7-6 over those 13 games, which is okay. It's not great. I would have loved them to go, 10-3, but you'll take what you can get. At least it wasn't, lopsided the other way. But going forward, you got to take advantage of these series with the Angels, who's a 500 team. Better than normal, but a 500 team. The Orioles, who are in last place, you got to take advantage of that series. The Oakland A's, you got to take advantage of that series. The Cardinals, who are all right. They're not terrible. They're about middle of the pack, a little bit above 500, 4.5 games back. But you've got to take advantage of when you face these weaker teams, because right after that, you have the Yankees, the Giants, the Rangers, the Royals, the Reds, and Brewers. So these next few series with obviously the Orioles and the A's, you got to take full advantage of that. That's 6 games that you got to win at least 4 out of 6. You got to win both series. You got to. And, looking at the standings right now, the Braves are 11 games back of first place. They came back from 10.5, but they were 10.5 games back in May. We are in July, everybody. Which, by the way, happy July 4th to everybody out there this weekend. We're in July. That is a tough road. I don't know that they'll do it. I don't want to doubt them, but I don't know that they'll do it. What I do think is possible, especially with the June swoon that we just saw with the Mets, I do think you could get second in the division. I do think you could potentially qualify for the playoffs. They're 9 games back of the Mets as of right now. I think that's possible. And you might be thinking to yourself, well, Tyler, what's the difference in 9 games and 11 games? The teams that I'm talking about, that's the difference. The Mets are what they are. The Braves got to get a lot better before this happens. They've got to get a lot better. So far this year, they've been really good at home. They're 24-18 at home. On the road, they're 15-28. Opposite records. And normally that's par for the course to some degree, right? You're going to have a better home record than road record. But they've been pretty darn bad on the road. And these games against the Orioles and the A's, the Orioles is at home, but the A's is on the road. They've got to win that series on the road. They've got to start piling up some wins on the road. And they're going to have to do it without Spencer Schwellenbach, without Chris Sale. It's a tough road. I hope they can figure it out. I really do. But we'll have to see what happens. All in all, this year has just not gone the way any of us thought it would. I'm sure it hasn't gone the way the Braves thought it would or the players have thought it would. Certainly not as Brian Snitker thought it would. But it's the year that we've been given. It's the unfortunate injuries that we've been given. It's the struggling players that we've been given, and it's what they're going to have to deal with and face the adversity and move through it. So we'll have to see what happens. All of that said, we're going to go to break. When we come back, we're going to start going through the comments. I think I've gotten it all out. This my anger and frustration even after this 8-3 victory. I think I've gotten it all out. We're going to get to your comments as soon as we get back. A lot of folks in the chat. Really appreciate you being here. Remember, Super Chats do get priority. They get you moved up to the front of the line, and we really do appreciate them. They help the channel grow, all that good stuff. So we're going to pay some bills. When we do get back, of course, we're going to get to your comments. So stay with us. That's next.
Truckloads of fresh inventory are rolling into Glenn Smith GMC in Opelika. Take your pick of a massive selection of brand new GMC Sierras, discounted up to $13,250 off. New GMC Terrains, the popular SUV featuring safety, technology, and performance, discounted up to $7,500 off. Enjoy no payments until summertime. Choose from over 500 new and used vehicles on the lot or on the way. GlennSmith.com. Get ready to smile. Get ready to smile, because it's Truck Month at Glenn Smith Chevrolet in Opelika. Take your pick of over 40 brand new Chevrolet Silverados, discounted up to $14,000 off while they last. New Chevy Equinox, the compact SUV featuring high-tech options, discounted up to $5,000 off. Enjoy no payments until summertime. Choose from over 500 new and used vehicles on the lot or on the way. GlennSmith.com. Get ready to smile. Truckloads of fresh inventory are rolling into Glenn Smith GMC in Opelika. Take your pick of a massive selection of brand new GMC Sierras, discounted up to $13,250 off. New GMC Terrains, the popular SUV featuring safety, technology, and performance, discounted up to $7,500 off. Enjoy no payments until summertime. Choose from over 500 new and used vehicles on the lot or on the way. GlennSmith.com. Get ready to smile.
Welcome back, everybody. Before we get into the comments section, I do have a guest in the studio. JR is in the studio, and he brought up an interesting trade that I found pretty interesting, and I'm going to toss it out there. I brought up the trade with Pittsburgh idea about, Andrew Heaney and David Bednar. Maybe you could trade Jared Kelenic and Bryce Elder for that and maybe land it. And for the other team, they get years of control. For the Braves, they get some immediate help that they desperately need. Well, the same goes for this. The Braves will be giving up Jared Kelenic, who's, of course, in AAA, and Bryce Elder for Zach Eflin and Charlie Morton from the Orioles, who they're about to play here fairly shortly. So Zach Eflin would, of course, be a reliever. The one knock here is that Eflin's got a 5.95 ERA. Historically speaking, he's a lot better than that, but that's where he is right now. You might be thinking to yourself, well, Tyler, that's damaged goods. Well, beggars can't be choosers. Right now, the Braves are beggars. Charlie Morton, familiar face. We talked about him earlier. Could really work. Could be a great trade package. He's got a 4.13 ERA, which before you go shaking a stick at that, right now we're pitching Didier Fuentes. So let's just realize where we're at. that could be a great back end of the rotation. Maybe you add Soroka, maybe you add a couple other pieces. I think the trade deadline is going to have to go nuts for the Braves to be successful. It's going to have to go better than the 2021 trade deadline, which is asking quite a bit, I'm aware. But just one other trade piece I'll throw out there for you. Jake Hobby says, good game for Olsen and good return for Profar. Thank goodness. By the way, guys, before we get into the comments, I forgot to say, like the video for us, please. Subscribe if you have not already. And, of course, hit the bell for notifications so that you know every time we do go live right here at On Deck. And, of course, remember, Super Chats do get priority. They get you moved to the front of the line in the comments section. And, of course, we'll let you know how we're feeling. Let's see. Jeffrey Humphreys, good evening, Braves fans. Yasuki Knight. It's kind of ironic Spencer Strider has been healthy since coming back from injury. Everyone else on this pitching staff has been getting hurt like crazy. Don't jinx it, brother. Don't jinx it. Don't jinx it. We can't do another one. Don't jinx it. Please don't. We do got a super chat from Maverick. Braves can trade Ozuna for a Eugenio Suarez and trade Elder for Zach Gallen. Suarez average annual value is $15 million. Gallen is $13.5. Merrill Kelly $7 million. I'd like to know what team control they got. So give me a second. I'm gonna look them up. It's just for you, Maverick. I'm looking up Zach Gallen contract. Let me see what we got because I'm unaware of how long he's locked up for. Zach Gallen would be a huge get, even though he's got a 5.45 ERA. He is a free agent at the end of the year, so you could do the swap. I don't hate that. He only signed a one-year deal this year. I don't hate that. No team option from what I can see. So I don't hate the Zach Gallen deal. For Elder, you give the Diamondbacks some years of control. The Braves get Zach Gallen, which could be good. The Diamondbacks, by the way, are playing right now. They're playing the Giants, and they are losing. The Diamondbacks currently fourth in their division. They're 10.5 games back. It could be an easy swap. I don't know exactly why they would want Marcell Ozuna if they're 10.5 games back. Or I guess you're saying we would trade Elder for that, which, that could happen. The Braves may view Elder differently than we do because, I personally view Elder as, not all that valuable. I view him as a valuable trade piece. And I don't know how the Braves view him. They could view him as he's one adjustment away from being, something really good. And I think we all agree that, that's not really how we feel about him. But it's kind of how the Braves obviously have put a lot of stock into Bryce Elder. They drafted him in the second or third round. Obviously, over the past few years, they've given him chance after chance after chance. This year by, under duress. But nonetheless, that's kind of how they feel. Merrill Kelly, that's interesting. Let me see Merrill Kelly. So the Diamondbacks is a team to watch, obviously. Merrill Kelly, free agent at the end of the year. I like this. 3.49 ERA. Let me see. Let me look at his stats. 17 starts, 3.49 ERA. Strikeout per nine, solid. I like the Merrill Kelly thing. I definitely think he moves. I don't know if he'll move to the Braves, but I like where you're going. Because if you can trade Merrill Kelly for maybe a Bryce Elder, maybe a Jared Kelenic, you could combine it. I actually like this better than the other deal. You could combine, hear me out, you could combine Jared Kelenic and Bryce Elder for Merrill Kelly and Zach Gallen and basically solve your starting pitching problem in one felt swoop, right? At least to some degree. You could then add Soroka, possibly, and then you're crafting a whole new rotation, right? Which right now, they kind of need. And if Soroka can give you at least a couple of good months until Sale and Schwellenbach come back, you can really make some strides. And I don't know if that'll all happen. This is completely theorizing, but it's interesting. A Eugenio Suarez, I'll have to look at. And just remember, we don't have to trade pitcher for pitcher and fielder for fielder. It can be anybody. A Eugenio Suarez Wow, yeah, he's a free agent at the end of the year. 254 average. I don't know if I trade Ozuna. I mean, he's got 26 homers this year. I'll give you that. He's been good. I just don't know if I'll trade Ozuna. I don't know if they would trade Ozuna. Because I feel like a lot of folks are. That's the other thing we have to consider. The Braves are probably going to struggle to have the best offer because they don't have a ton of prospect capital, right? They got J.R. Ritchie. They got, they have guys. Hayden Harris has been really good this year. Those are the two guys that are representing the Braves actually in the futures game. J.R. Ritchie, we actually interviewed on the channel as soon as he got drafted a few years ago. So, they have guys. Owen Murphy's another one that could gauge some interest long term, but I don't think the Diamondbacks view themselves as necessarily that far away. So they're going to want some immediate help. Bryce Elder kind of fits that bill, but they may look at Bryce Elder and go, yeah, look, he won an All-Star, but what has he done since then, really, other than the 8-inning game he pitched? That's how they may look at him, right? They're going to try to pick that apart. So I think you're going to have to add a little something to sweeten the deal, but I definitely think a deal could be done if the Braves like it. If the Braves are willing to spend prospect capital or spend capital, period, on it, I think they'll like it. We got another super chat. Maverick, thank you for that. Actually, a really good. I like that. I might actually do a video on that. So thank you for the super chat, and thank you for giving us a good idea. One Ron says, Tyler, thank you. Well, thank you. He says, second, been watching the Braves since 89. That's the year my dad graduated high school, by the way. We need more of this offense really soon, or I'd hate to say it, but it's over. I'm going to be honest with you. When I got the notification today that Schwellenbach fractured his elbow. Now, granted, I didn't know it was a hairline fracture. I thought it was he's done for the year. The thought entered my mind of, yep, that's the final nail, right? I'd be lying to you if I told you otherwise, and I don't like to lie. Since then, we found out it was a hairline fracture. He could be back in a month and a half. That kind of made it a little easier. And, of course, I've had longer to think about it, and I remembered that we're talking about Alex Anthopoulos, who really loves to be active at a deadline and really likes to make changes at a deadline, and packages like we've been talking about over the past few minutes, the Merrill Kelly, the Zach Gallen, the trades that are possible. We've had all those conversations. David Bednar, Andrew Heaney. There are trades that could be made to help the team. But you're right. If something doesn't change, it is going to be over. It is. And that absolutely sucks. I do not want to watch the second half of this season and think to myself, man, why am I watching this? I want it to mean something while we're watching the Braves. Think about how fun it's been over the past few years and the division rivalries with the Mets and the Phillies, and it's every game towards the end of the year means something, right? I mean, since 2018, it's been that way. And even last year with the wild card spot, it was like if winning the wild card spot made it feel like we won something. It made even through all the adversity, it felt like we did something. And this year, God, it's just felt like it's just smacked us in the face. And it's been tough. There's no way around it. Something's got to give. I think trades need to happen sooner rather than later. I don't think the Braves are trying to fire sell. I don't think Alex Anthopoulos is going there. But something's got to give. And it may not be until next year that stuff really starts happening, which sucks to hear. It's not going to get me more views on YouTube. But it may not be till the 2026 offseason, this upcoming offseason, where things start happening because the luxury tax is gone. It may not be till then, but we'll have to hopefully see that it happens sooner than that. Corey Carter, seems like pitchers are being coddled from an early age, and it's having the opposite effect on injury prevention. Pitchers need to pitch. Trying to control innings is counterproductive. It's not the innings. And Leo Mazzoni, very good friend of mine, called him the other day, actually. He sent me a nice note about my upcoming wedding and kind of things like that. We're good friends. So I know his philosophy pretty much inside and out. JR, hand me that book up there, the Leo Mazzoni book. Everybody out there, it's the black one next to the, yeah. So everybody out there should read this book, number one. As he grunts his way over here. All right. It doesn't have a cover on it. I do apologize. But as you can see, Leo Mazzoni's on the Braves mound. Everybody should read this book. Everybody should learn the philosophy of Leo Mazzoni. Everybody. And if you need to learn it quickly, there's about 10 shorts on my YouTube channel right now, purely from Leo Mazzoni. Less exertion, more repetition. That's the key. Pitching right now, the reason that most of your top 10 paid pitchers in baseball are hurt is because they're all throwing 103 miles an hour. It doesn't have to be that way. It doesn't have to be that way. But it's not the coddling. It's actually the opposite. It's you got to throw at least 95 miles an hour to be in Major League Baseball. That's why Craig Kimbrell got sent down a few weeks ago. My biggest problem with that is if he can get results at 93 miles an hour, what's the difference, right? We've gone from the age of guys being able to pitch with knuckleballs or, even a John Franco, change-ups, heavy, that kind of thing, to just everybody has to throw over 95 or you can't be a major leaguer. That is like a minimum requirement. It's almost like taking the eye test for your driver's license at this point. You have to meet that requirement. And I think that's ridiculous. Greg Maddux wouldn't be on an MLB roster today. It's insane. And we've got to change that, but that's a problem for another day. Leo Mazzoni, everybody. Go look up Leo Mazzoni, greatest pitching coach of all time. He'll tell you it's Johnny Sane, but I'm going with Leo Mazzoni. Chris Kaysen, it does seem to me Profar brought some energy to the team tonight. Love it. They looked lackluster in the first couple innings after not scoring, but from the sixth inning on, you could see a difference in holding their heads up. Yeah, and look, like I said earlier, I want nothing more than for Profar to be successful. I'm happy he's back. The Braves need him. He's apologized. He's moved on. The Braves have moved on. MLB has moved on. The suspension is behind us. Let's move on, right? That's neither here nor there. But Profar has got to be successful in a Braves uniform, and he needed to bring an energy. And I know we have a super chat. Let me get this out, Ron, then I'm going to get there. But do you remember in 95 in the World Series, and I don't remember it. I just know about it for the record. I wasn't alive. But for those of you that were, do you remember in the 95 World Series, Dave Justice had all this hate on him? Do you remember that? Because he said a few things in the papers that got misconstrued, and everybody in Atlanta hated his guts. Ahead of Game 6 in the 95 World Series. He's getting booed as he enters the field. It wasn't quite to that level today, but when Profar struck out in the first inning, Braves fans let him hear it. He looked bad swinging on the last pitch. You got to think in his head, there's a little bit of that Dave Justice, I gotta show up here, right? Dave Justice, of course, hits the solo homer off Jim Poole. By the way, it's a Braves trivia fact I bet you didn't know. I've actually interviewed Jim Poole, R.I.P. But look, that kind of energy, Profar, of course, hit the solo shot tonight, wasn't pivotal in the game, but it could be pivotal to the psyche of not only him, but also his teammates. Let's get to this super chat from one Ron. Thank you again. It says, I don't think we're going to be sellers no matter what happens, and I don't blame them. If players played just average, we'd be a top 5 team, no problem. I think it is the hitting approach. What about you? The hitting approach is definitely an issue, but it was an issue last year, right? I don't want to put blame on Tim Hires. I don't think that's necessarily fair. Kevin Seitzer is having a lot of the same problems. I do think what I have noticed anyway is we've seen a regression in Michael Harris that is concerning. Ozzie Albies is what it is. It's a regression, but I think that's more injury buildup than it is actual plate issues. I think it's more injury buildup. I could be wrong, but that's just how I view it. With Michael, I'm a little more concerned. And a lot of people have brought up his vision. I don't think that's what it is. Again, could be wrong. I'm not a doctor. I'm just telling you, I don't think that's what it is. I think it's some adjustments. Harris has definitely made adjustments. He's looked different in the batter's box. here and there. Ozzie has looked different. He's got a wider stance at the plate for some reason. Harris, his hand, has moved to more like where Acuna holds his as opposed to where it used to be. I don't know if that's by design. I'm sure it is, but I'm sure they're trying everything they can to fix the problems. The approach has definitely got to change. Whatever approach they use tonight, they need to use every night, but not every night's going to look like tonight. So to answer your question, I don't want to blame the hitting coach because this problem existed before this year. I have concerns with whoever's working with the pitchers because we have seen quite a spike, Chris Sale not included, but Spencer Schwellenbach, A.J. Smith-Shawver, just injuries. And Reynaldo Lopez. I mean, how many times have we seen Reynaldo Lopez with shoulder inflammation? I'm just saying that's something that I'm not concerned as much with the play as much as I am with the injuries. And I'm not talking about Chris Sale diving and breaking his ribcage. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the elbow, the shoulder, the hand. This is basic pitching injuries. This isn't freak accidents for the most part, but we can't lose these guys as much as we're losing them and be successful. No team can. And not to refer back to the Leo Bible, but I'm just telling you, this didn't used to happen. How many Tommy Johns did Leo Mazzoni have in his career? 1. How many of the Braves had in the past 5 years? Yeah, as my good friend just said. So it's today's game. It is what it is. Everybody wants to be Nolan Ryan. I get it. But not everybody is. And you've got to learn how to pitch as much as you learn how to throw. And that's where we're losing the game. So I say all that to say, everybody stop throwing hard. Corey Carter says, Hayden Harris has a sub-1 ERA and 30 innings in Gwinnett. Not 30 innings in Gwinnett, not quite. He's got about 7 innings in Gwinnett over 6 appearances, and he's got about 23 appearances in Columbus, actually. I got to know Hayden Harris a little bit this year, saw him pitch quite a bit. Great. He has not given up a run in Gwinnett. He's only given up runs in Columbus. In fact, his ERA has gone down since going to the higher level. Hayden Harris is a guy who has been in the Braves organization since 2018, but he really found his groove this year. Something's working. I don't know what. He's got a low 90s fastball, but his stuff is working. His strikeout per 9 right now is like 13.3. You may be sitting there going, why does Tyler know all these stats about this random minor league pitcher? It's because he's from here, and we did a feature on him the other day because he is in the Futures game. That's why I'm privy to a lot of this on top of my head. But the 13.3 strikeout per 9 is solid. He's a guy that he's in the Futures game, but he's a guy that could be fast-tracked to the major leagues because not only is he a solid reliever, he's a solid reliever from the left side. He does have the Josh Hader flow going on back there too. So let's see. Corey Carter says, we don't have anything to sell. Ozuna isn't going to get that much of a return. You're probably right. That's what I keep trying to tell people. Ozuna probably not going to give you that big of a return, not as much as he would have last year because he had another year of control. Albies, does have the team option, but I don't think you're going to get very much for him right now. He hasn't shown very much. So I don't know that we're going to be able to sell. We may, it's different if a team is just bad, but they have good players, right? In 2014, you had Kimbrel, you had the Uptons, you had Brian McCann. You name it, we pretty much sold it outside of Freddie Freeman. Those were guys who individually were performing really well. There's nobody outside of Ronald Acuna right now that's performing at a rate that you're like, yeah, that's the guy. And you certainly don't want to give up Riley and Olsen for having subpar years that aren't bad. They're doing exactly what you're paying them to do pretty much. You don't want to lose Acuna. You don't want to lose Drake Baldwin because he has years of control. You don't want to lose anybody really that has years of control beyond this season. You kind of have to wait it out. And that's the part nobody wants to hear. But it's the truth. And if you're going to sell anybody, it's probably going to be Ozuna. And it'll probably be for some pitching prospects, maybe a reliever with years of control, maybe. If you're going to trade anybody, it's probably going to be Kelenic, maybe Elder. But right now, Elder, unless you're getting a starting pitcher back, you kind of need Bryce Elder. Like, if you're trading Elder and Kelenic and you get 2 starting pitchers, I'm happy. But your offense is going to be what it's going to be at this point. You need pitching. You need pitching desperately. And I think they know that, because at first it was the bullpen, and now it's the entire pitching staff. I mean, Aaron Bummer almost had to go out to the mound today in the first inning. That's where we're at. And, like, no disrespect to Didier Fuentes, it's not his fault. He's young. He's had 3 starts. He was in Double-A a week before he got called up. He has no business being on the mound. He's on the mound because, frankly, he has options. Also, he did something to make them think that he could do well at the major league level. It has not panned out. That's it. So, all in all, it is what it is, but I just think that's what you got to go with. Another super chat from Maverick says, I've seen a trade proposal out there for the Braves, A's. Mason Miller, average annual value of lower than $1 million, and is a free agent at the end of the year for Elder for a mutual swap. Here's what I'll say about that. If you get Mason Miller, I'm not against it. But if he's a free agent at the end of the year, you're giving him Elder, who's going to help carry your starting rotation through the end of this year. And on top of that, you're losing Elder, who has years of control beyond this year. I don't know if I love that unless you get Mason Miller and you immediately extend him, which he's coming from the A's. We've seen that happen with Olsen. We've seen that happen with Sean Murphy. It could very well happen with Atlanta if you get him under the Atlanta umbrella and then go, all right, we're going to give you $4 million for the next 5 years if you'll sign this document saying that that's okay. He may do it, but Mason Miller hasn't exactly had the year that, he's got velocity, but I don't know that he's had the year that I want to give him 4-year deal. Do you get what I'm saying? I don't hate it, but I just can't see it. Like Corey says, I can't see the A's wanting Elder for Mason Miller because that's probably their best trade chip. And if they're going to expend it, they're going to want to give it to a contender that can give them prospects because that's what they like, right? When they traded with us, they pretty much got prospects every single time. And that's why they have Shea Langoliers now, right? So they had Pache for a little while, if I'm not mistaken. So all in all, I don't think that that's going to happen. If it did, I wouldn't bat an eye. I'm not anti-Bryce Elder, just so we're clear. I just think he's one of the Braves' most valuable trade chips this year. I thought the same thing with Pache a few years ago. Thought the same thing with Vaughn Grissom. I was right both times, and it just kind of is what it is. I think Elder could be a really good pitcher. I just think he has not found that at the big league level. One thing Elder does do, he's very good at not getting hurt. It's the one thing he's good at. And he's good sometimes on the mound, but his real talent for the Braves, the thing that has made him valuable, is his ability to post up. So hopefully that continues. So all in all, I think Elder at this point has to stay unless you're just going out there and finding starting pitchers left and right. Give me Soroka, give me Haney, give me Zach Gallen, give me Merrill. I mean, because at this point, who else? I mean, you have Grant Holmes right now. You have Bryce Elder, and you have Spencer Strider. Outside of that, you're looking real questionable. And to be honest with you, even in some of that, you're looking a little questionable. So I think that there's time that we could, go and we can try to figure it out. But, like Anthony says, I just scrolled up. Anthony said, I like Elder. He eats innings and he's very durable, but he's a flip of a coin because his outings depend a lot on the umpires and if he's facing an aggressive lineup. Yeah, and the book is out on him, right? Hey, don't be aggressive. Don't be aggressive, right? Be patient. But you're right. It's it's a flip of a coin, but he is very durable. And there's something to be said for that. A guy that can eat innings and cover innings. And, that's what made Bartolo Colon so valuable, right? Not to compare him to Bartolo, but you get my point. That's what made Bartolo valuable, is his ability to post up. Let's see. Anthony also says Leo Mazzoni is the man. I'd have to agree. Jeffrey Humphreys says Ozzie needs a racehorse blinders to block his vision of balls out of the zone. He just can't resist chasing pitches way off the plate. The more we talk about it, the more we've addressed it, the more I feel like Ozzie Albies should really hit right-handed full time. I've said it for years, and this year it's becoming like obvious. A lot of his power numbers come from the left side, but his consistency numbers for the most part come from the right, and I just think he looks more comfortable at the plate from the right side. The Critical Thinker says pitcher injuries are a problem all across Major League Baseball. It's not just us. Just look at all the pitchers that the Dodgers have hurt. I don't disagree with that. It's not just us. I do think that we've had quite a few incidents where I'm looking at our staff going, all right, how did this happen? A.J. Smith-Shawver is probably the big one. That's the one that Snit got a lot of flack for not noticing that something was wrong. In reality, that's not on Snit. That's kind of on your pitching coach and on your pitching staff. And, obviously Snit should know everything, but you see my point. Like, Snit's focused on every aspect of the team. I want to know what's going on with the pitching staff. I want to know what's going on with the training staff because we have a bit of an epidemic. You take Chris Sale out of it. Strider with the UCL surgery last year. A.J. Smith-Shawver with the Tommy John this year. You name it, we've had it. The list of injuries from last year just goes bonkers, and most of them are pitchers. It's the most taxing, position in a lot of ways, but most of them are pitchers, and it's a long list. I know the Dodgers have quite a bit of injuries over the years. I get it, but I just feel like we have so many that it's starting to get we got to question some things. That's just my opinion. One Ron. Let's see. Okay, you're talking to somebody. Never mind. A lot of folks in the chat. We're going to go ahead and go down to Dion Rodriguez. He says, sorry he showed up late. Well, it's only a $5 fine, Dion. He says, just finished the game. Awesome to see d'Arnaud again. Yeah, you know what? I'm glad you brought that up. He is in the thumbnail. Travis d'Arnaud. Good to see Travis d'Arnaud. Yeah, I had the pleasure of interviewing d'Arnaud after the Braves qualified for the wild card last year. You talk about a guy who's easy to talk to and just a kind, I'm going up to him, hey, man, you got 5 minutes? He's like, man, I got 10 minutes, So very likable guy, obviously well-liked in the Braves clubhouse, well-liked in baseball, period. The moment that sticks out to me is when he got hit by the pitch and he sold it like a WWF referee. That kind of thing's great, right? It makes the game fun. I'll never forget Frank the Tank getting so mad that he was doing well with the Braves and not with the Mets. Now, great to see him. Glad he got the standing ovation he deserved. Jorge Soler, by the way, how about that ninth inning majestic homer that he hit today? As much as it stinks to see a homer against your team, it's all right when it's the World Series MVP for some reason. Corey Carter says, they say that it is a huge adjustment to stop switch hitting, but I have thought for years that Ozzie should bat righty. Agreed. He sees his value as higher being a switch hitter. And I get that, right? You don't want to lose the skill, but wasn't it Cedric Mullins a few years ago that did that and completely tore it up for 3 months? I'm just saying, I think that there's something to that. And I don't know. I could be wrong. I'm not a baseball, expert or certainly not a hitting expert by any stretch. But if it were me and, I was struggling, I wouldn't be necessarily against it. Guys, we're pretty much, we're flirting with an hour. We're going to wrap it up soon, so get your questions in. Remember, Super Chats get bumped up to the front. And obviously appreciate all you guys tuning in. We're going to answer as many as we can. But it's flirting with midnight, too, and I got some stuff I got to do. So let's go ahead and skip down to Corey Carter. David Ross for Braves 2025 manager. I don't hate it. I really don't hate it. I think David Ross is a solid manager. I think there's a lot of guys that would be vying for that job. I think the most rightful guy to do it would probably be Walt Weiss. There's a coaching staff right now for the Futures game, and David Ross's name is not on it. A lot of names on there are. Johnny Estrada, Tim Hudson, Marquise Grissom, Marvin Freeman, Nick Markakis is on there. That's a guy I'd like to see be the manager. Nick Markakis, that'd be pretty cool. But no, I mean, there's a lot of names that it could be. I've heard DeRosa. I think Walt Weiss makes the most sense, but, I could be wrong. One Ron with a big super chat tonight. Appreciate that, buddy. It says, serious question. All right, let's get serious, everybody. Riley hit a ball he thought was out. He looked at it. A double turned into a long single. Your thoughts with this happening multiple times in current Braves history? I hate it. Your thoughts? Should he be benched? So, okay, this really started with Acuna back in, I want to say, 2019, if I'm not mistaken. It was right before the pandemic. I was actually at the game. I remember I was behind the Braves dugout. Snit was raising hell because Acuna didn't run out of the box. He looked at it, didn't go over, double, turned into a single. It was a big thing. Acuna, I think, had to apologize to the team. He got fussed at by the team because it was one of Brian McCann's last games, and really got, lack of a better word, a butt chewing about it. Since then, we saw Kelnick do it at the beginning of this year. And he didn't get the butt chewing. And a lot of people made that out to be what they're going to make it out to be. Here's what I'll say about it. I don't think it was, how do I put this? Certainly wasn't racially driven. It certainly wasn't, biased towards Acuna. If there's a bias, it's that Acuna is held to a higher expectation because he is a former MVP. He was a Rookie of the Year that year, and he was very good. He's still very good. And they knew the type of talent he had. They couldn't let him get away with that at that time, especially because he hadn't earned that right. And he hadn't, how do I put it? He wasn't around the game very much before that. They were trying to teach him the game of baseball as they knew it, which this is before let the kids play. This is, or at least in the midst of it. It's still the old guard. Snit's old school. Freeman's old school. The whole coaching staff was old school at that point. And that's how I view it. I don't think anybody was trying to do anything wrong. I think they were trying to teach him and the Braves way. That's all it is. So when Kelnick did it, Snit says he didn't see it, which that's a bad move. Don't ever say you didn't see anything if you're the manager. But he probably didn't get a great look at it. He was probably watching the ball, not watching Kelnick. And it was obviously a much lesser stakes game. Acuna, number one, should have never tweeted about it. That's number one. He's even admitted that. But it was a much lesser stakes game. It wasn't that big of a game. And, I don't think it was near as emphatic. I didn't see the particular play you're talking about with Riley tonight, and I hate to say I didn't see it, but I didn't. But what I'll say is, lesser stakes game. I don't know what inning it was in, but I'm sure it was probably once the Braves were up by a few runs. So that's what I would say. I would say lesser stakes. Every run in the postseason counts, and the game we're referring to was in the playoffs with Acuna. This wasn't. So in terms of do I hate it? Do I think he should be benched? I hate it. That's not how the game's intended to be played. But in terms of being benched, do we really want to start throwing stones around the Braves clubhouse right now with all the negative that there could be? Do we really want to go ahead and upset one of our best hitters in Austin Riley and make him more uncomfortable at the plate than he likely already is? Or anybody else? You don't want to make the clubhouse where you're walking on eggshells. You want to handle business. You want to handle problems where they are. And who knows? Maybe Snit went and pulled Riley to the side tonight and, had a conversation. I don't know. I don't know. But in terms of do I think he should be benched for it, I think that hurts the team more than it's going to punish Riley. Or I think it hurts the team more than it want to punish Kelnick. Acuna didn't get benched. He got his butt chewed out, but he didn't get benched as far as I can remember. But that's just my take on it. I hope that was a satisfactory answer there, Ron. I hope it did well. Maverick with another super chat. Appreciate all the super chats tonight. We're killing it tonight. Appreciate that. Maverick said Kershaw just got 3,000 strikeouts. Look at that. Good to see. Even a Dodger we can smile about. Yeah, Kershaw. Congrats to Kershaw. I didn't know that. I didn't know he was even that close. So he was already a future Hall of Famer in my book, the greatest pitcher probably of my childhood. I mean, it's between him, Scherzer, and Verlander. Take your pick there. But Kershaw's definitely in the mix, and obviously a future Hall of Famer. So, I think all in all, I think Kershaw is going to be one of the best. He's going to be one of the best Dodgers of all time. He's probably one of the best pitchers of all time. Certainly the best or one of the best in my generation. So, all in all, I think that's pretty much going to wrap it up. Corey Carter, that's quite the accusation. He says, our leader is playing first for the Dodgers. Ooh, I'm going to stay quiet on that one. Corey Carter also says, it would have been a tough double, but he didn't give himself a chance. But yeah, not as egregious as Acuna's nor Ozuna's. So, I think that's pretty much it for the night, guys. We've officially crossed an hour and 5 minutes. I want to thank all the people who super chatted. Maverick, One Ron, who else super chatted? A lot of folks. One Ron was killing it tonight. Maverick again. I don't know if I'm missing somebody. I do apologize. But thank you guys. Really do appreciate it. Steve-O, you were great tonight. Maverick, you're great tonight. David Thatcher, Jeffrey Humphreys, Critical Thinker. Everybody in there tonight. One Ron, of course. Everybody that super chatted. Really do appreciate that. It really does help the channel, and obviously it supports me directly. Remember, guys, if you would, please do like the video if you have not already. Subscribe if you have not already. Hit the bell for notifications so that you can be updated every time we go live, every time we get on here and talk Braves baseball or baseball just in general. Now, full disclosure, this is the last live stream for the next week and a half until at least the 12th, because I will be on a boat somewhere, so I'll be gone. But we will be back, and I hope while I'm gone, the Braves have like a 10-game win streak, and I come back, and it's just a miracle on ice. That's what I hope for. So before we get out of here, I do want to thank our sponsors one last time. Glenn Smith Chevrolet GMC in Opelika. They do great work. They got great vehicles, and they have great deals as well. Go check them out. I can assure you, you'll find a great car for you. So thank you for watching tonight, guys. Thank you for the super chats. Thank you for the likes, the subscribes. You guys have been great. Remember, go check us out on TikTok. It's another avenue for you to get my content, Braves content, really good stuff. There's a couple of shorts out there that have done really well this week. I found an old clip of Ron Washington talking about Michael Harris's ability to bounce back, and it's pretty timely. So go check that out on the shorts page. There's a few more. So go check them out. We really would appreciate it. CeeLo says, Jake Hobby says, CeeLo will be back live tomorrow. He's been busy this week. Okay, well, let's go ahead and promote him. CeeLo is live tomorrow night during the game, so go check him out. One Ron, listen to this, John. One Ron says, wait, you can't live stream from the boat? Where the fudge you going? He said, where the fudge are you going? I'm trying to be professional, Ron. With questions like that, I can't be professional. I'm going on a honeymoon. I'm going on a cruise to the Bahamas. I will not be here. I will not have Wi-Fi. And to be honest with you, by design, I'm pretty much leaving every electronic home, because otherwise my soon-to-be wife would would get upset. So he says fudge honeymoons, by the way. You can tell Megan that. So on that note, everybody, thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time right here at On Deck.
Baseball fans, make sure you like and share this video and subscribe to this channel. As always, thank you for your support.